Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my over-the-board chess tournament here in New York City in 2025 December. It is the club championship of the esteemed and very famous Marshall Chess Club. This is the fourth round recap. I have 2.5 out of 3 points. I won 2 of my first 3 games, obviously. The most recent being in a Sicilian defense, which I was very proud of. Also, shout out to all of you because we got to 7 million subscribers. First channel to break 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 now. Sorry, it's kind of like poisoned the brain at this point. I always say the same thing when people say a subscriber count. That's all of you. So whether you are goofing off in the comment section or writing positive messages when I'm playing in tournaments or about other content, or whether you're just lurking and you don't usually comment, you are very much appreciated. 2026 is going to be a big year. In March, we drop Chess for Babies. In October, How to Win at Chess Next Level comes out, my next book for intermediate players, like 1,000 to 1,600 level. So going to be a big year, and now I'm playing in tournaments again, and it feels pretty good. And I'm going to be covering this game. In this round, I was paired against Liam Putnam. Now, for those of you that have watched my channel for quite some time, you know that Liam is very, very strong. I played him last year in a tournament that was horrendous for me, but I managed to beat him in that tournament, and that was basically my first normal win in like over 20 games, which I'm sure he was not particularly happy about either. You never want to be the one person that helps somebody break their slump, but that's what happens. And Liam is obviously going to be a GM. He's 17 now. He'll be a GM probably within a year, but he has had a tough month. On the first move, I played c4 again because this is my main weapon. And my opponent responded with the move e5. Last time he played e6. I did not spend 13 minutes on my first move. I was late. Commuting to a chess tournament in New York City is a rough business. It is not something that I would recommend. It is certainly not for the faint of heart. I went knight c3. Now, when you play like this, you generally are assuming your opponent will be playing the 4 knights. I thought we were going to go for the 4 knights English. It's kind of the most popular. White then can play a3, d3, e3, e4, g3, d4, everything. He played bishop b4. I actually, of all the systems, did not want to see this one the most. Bishop b4 it's a pretty annoying move. It looks a little ridiculous, but white doesn't have as many targets as they do and as much flexibility when both of these knights are out. You kind of have to respond to this. Now, there are some sidelines, but I played knight d5, which is the main move. But I don't have a lot of experience in these positions. He played a5, defending the bishop. And I played the move a3, simply trying to kick out the bishop. The bishop goes... And you may be asking, like, why are you not taking on b4? Why would you not take on b4? Well... Actually, yeah, that's kind of interesting. Like, the meta here is that because black gets so much good control of the position and this open file, this position is actually very, very pleasant for black. So that's why you actually don't take. You try to use the bishop as a bit of a piñata. I played e3. He played d6. I played d4, which is a very normal move. He went back to a7. This is like completely crazy that you can play bishop b4, bishop c5, bishop a7. But modern day computers have sort of blessed this. And then black just goes for a very straightforward setup. I kind of realized here that he's just going to go c6, kick my knight out, put this knight on d7, put this knight on f6, and castle. And that is exactly what happened. I tried to play a little quickly. I mean, quickly is relative. And then I went for g3. Here I spent about 7 minutes. Basically in this position with white, you have to choose a setup. And the best setup for white, as I discovered after this game, because I don't think I've even played this position in Blitz ever. This is the first time I've ever had this structure. So that's difficult because, I'm playing somebody who's stronger than me, despite our score. And, I have to make things up. And I'm already down 20 minutes because I came 13 minutes late and I spent 7 minutes so far in the opening. 6 or 7 minutes. And now I have to remember the correct setup here. And for the life of me, I could not remember the correct setup because I just, and I was thinking like, okay, I mean, bishop d3 looks pretty natural. Bishop e2 looks natural. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to play bishop e2, then I'm going to castle. And like, then where are my pieces going? Like, where do I put this bishop? Do I play b4? Do I play b3? So I kind of improvised. I was like, well, let's go G3. Let's play this like a Trumpowski. Now, what's funny is G3 is just straight up not a good move. But again, I didn't know that. I was going to put my bishop here, and I was going to play for b4, b5. You know, I was going to play like I do in the Trumpowski on this kind of long diagonal. I didn't think it was like terrible. I thought it was like a pretty normal move. Plus, like, I have to play. And ultimately, my biggest weakness is like I get uncomfortable, I get in my own head, and then I just like start doing stupid stuff. That's actually about to happen. So he goes knight f6, I play bishop g2, castles. So we get to this position, and he quickly plays rook e8. So, you know, the nice thing about this opening for black, if you're looking for a nice weapon against c4, knight c3, black can basically play the first 10 moves without even thinking. Like, you literally just go for this setup, and if white plays it slightly inaccurately, which is what I did, it's already a problematic position. Black just wants to go e4. Black just wants to go e4. And it's not easy for me to come up with a plan. See, you want the bishop here, and even though it's not doing anything in the short term, in the long run, it will actually be quite useful there. Whereas on this square, it will potentially be walled out forever. But I was kind of, you know, expecting that. So here I spent 4 minutes, and ultimately I opted for b4. Now this move caused me a lot of mental and emotional imbalance. Because basically, once I played this move, I realized he has a sequence here, after which I thought, not only am I in a worse position, I just thought I'm completely uncomfortable. Basically, if Liam had played pawn takes d4 at any moment, I was going to play knight takes d4. Because I would keep my diagonal open, and, you know, the queen would target this pawn. However, after playing the move b4, I can no longer do that, as after pawn takes, if I were to take with the knight, I opened up tactical possibilities here, and I would be losing after something like AB, and I thought bishop takes d4. Apparently, the computer is actually not less concerned about this, and is more concerned about the immediate capture, and then just simply taking on b4. Actually, that's also completely reasonable. But that's the tactical situation. But b4 makes sense, right? It kind of plays into my plan. I want to play bishop b2. I want to be aggressive on this side of the board. He has two choices. He can go for what he did in the game. He has three choices. He can also play bishop to b8, but bishop b8 is going to be paired with the idea to play e4 and d5. Now, the idea to play e4 and d5 here I thought made a lot less sense. I thought this was pretty stupid. Because, like, okay, I mean, yeah, you blocked out my bishop, but I will just very quickly reopen the position, and I am not afraid here at all. I mean, I don't... This plan did not seem as strong because there is no way to attack my king, which is why I thought from the very beginning my plan of playing g3 was pretty reasonable. But then he went here. Now, I know you're looking at the computer and you're like, you're better. Like, what are you afraid of? I actually was very, very annoyed at myself for allowing this. Not allowing it, but I really underestimated how annoying this was. Like, he blocks his own bishop, and it's such a clumsy looking move, but it's not simple for me to protect this pawn. Basically, if I go backwards to d2, this just looks, I don't know, really counterintuitive. I block my own bishop. He's just going to develop another piece and attack me. Originally, my idea here had been queen d3. I ended up rejecting queen d3 because he very quickly attacks me. And then if I take another step backwards, I just thought he can even play something like queen d7. And I'm like, where do I move my queen? Like, my queen is getting, you know, whacked around. Or he can even go d5, and then he can play knight c4. And this just looks unpleasant. So then I just started thinking, like, can I sack a pawn? I ended up rejecting this for the exact reason the computer gives. It's like, can I go takes, queen a4 with the double attack? But I rejected this because he just goes d5. He gives me back the pawn, and then he just activates all his pieces. I have to put my queen on this idiotic square, and this just seems wrong. So ultimately, I settled for something I didn't love. I settled for pushing the pawn, giving up the d5 square to his knight, trading, and then just playing bishop to d2. I wasn't particularly thrilled about this, but basically, psychologically, I was like, look, I made like 15 moves. There is no way my position can be that bad, although I'm kind of annoyed because my knight doesn't feel very useful, my bishop doesn't feel very useful, but we just have a game. Like, his bishop is not very useful too. I don't know why I'm getting so negative about myself, but this is normal for me. Like, I'm not just playing my opponent, I'm playing myself. You can also see by my time management, I spent 10 minutes in this position because I was kind of coming to terms with this move, whereas it's just like obviously the best move. I mean, of course I can play the others, but I mean, I should have just played c5 much faster. Now, fun fact about this position, here's a little maneuver I completely did not consider. I can actually play bishop g5 first. This is a very funny maneuver. I attack the queen, and there's no easy square for him to put it on. If he goes to d7, he's just blocking his bishop. That's a little clumsy. If he goes to c7, then I don't even have to go back to d2, although I can, and actually the queen is just worse placed here, because it can't get out. Like, it can't go to f6, for example. And if I play bishop g5 and he goes f6, this is a very weakening move. Now I get the same position, but his king is weak, and the queen is blocked, right? The queen's diagonal is blocked. I was not I mean, to be honest, I probably should have thought about it. Like, I saw that it attacked the queen, but I was like, I don't know what that move does. He's just going to move his queen. So I just went here. But it's a very sophisticated little maneuver that forces black to react, and then you proceed with your game. He went queen f6, and I really felt the pressure was building here a bit, you know? I felt like he's got nasty ideas. He's got, like, bishop g4 coming potentially with a lot of pressure on my center. And ultimately here, I went for another long think, but I was very happy with the decision that I made. I simply decided to take this pawn. And the logic was he just spent a move moving his queen. So if he spends another move moving his queen, that's a loss of time. And actually, I was just going to take this pawn. And I was like, hey, I just have an extra pawn right now. Like, you're going to have to work really hard to get it back. And as you're doing that, I'm going to go attack the other pawn. And, like, you can defend yourself, but dude, you're still down a pawn, right? Like, and okay, you can take on f3, takes, and take this pawn, but then I'm gonna, trade rooks and put pressure here, and, like. So when I saw this little sequence of pawn takes and pawn takes a5, I was like, hey, all right, Liam's putting some pressure on me, but the time is now. Like, I'm taking this pawn. He threw in pawn takes b4, and now we have a very interesting position because on the one hand, I can take, and I can leave my bishop to play defense versus this knight. Honestly, this is pretty reasonable. After queen d6 here, the computer thinks that things are already looking a little bit dicey for black. But if he goes first bishop d7, connecting the rooks, this would enable the movement of this bishop. And now the position is just equal, probably. I went for something a bit more dynamic. I took with the bishop. It looked a bit silly to just completely give away the bishop like this, but my logic was now my position feels free. And the knight is gone, which opened up my bishop a lot, and the pressure is off my position. Like, the knight is just gone. My bishop was kind of a defensive piece. And an idea suddenly appeared out of nowhere here. So he takes on d6. This is given a question mark. Now, the reason it's given a question mark is one of the craziest engine lines that I've seen in quite some time, a positional engine line, which the vague idea I saw, but not concretely. Basically here, I came to the realization that this is actually much bigger of a problem than it seems. Because basically, I am threatening to play something like rook a2, not exactly, and queen a1. And, okay, I'm going to explain why. But in general, this is the idea, and he can't move. Now, what is barely holding the position together for him is, for example, if I were to play rook a2, he would go bishop e6 and attack my rook, and I lose time. If I go rook a3, well, this is a little ridiculous, he could maybe take on b4. And even though I can get here, the second thing that he is banking on is my queen going to a1 and bishop d4. This is a really nasty counterpunch, right? It attacks my queen and the rook, and suddenly I get totally reversed. So to pull this off, to pull off this attack of rook and queen on the file, I would need to stack my rook in a way that my queen could get behind it but not go to a1. I thought about rook a4, but I don't think rook a4 works because he can just go b5. Also, he can maybe go bishop d7. And after bishop d7, his next move is bishop b6. And queen a1, there's always bishop takes d4. So this just never works, except it does. In this position, I can play rook a5. You say, what? Well, rook a5 makes sense, right? Rook a5, the idea is not to go queen a1. The idea is to go queen a4. Oh, that's much more creative. Now, if he attacks my rook with the move b6, now I go back to a3 because the bishop is blocked. Because he doesn't have bishop d4 anymore. And after this, queen a1 is winning for white because the pressure is too strong. Okay, well, that's very easy. What if he just takes on b4? Now queen a1 is met with bishop d4, and queen a4 is met with a queen trade. Now I play the unfathomable queen d2. I completely changed the plan. and I hit the queen with a tempo, and I defend my rook. The difference is when the rook is here, there is no queen d2, the rook is hanging. But when the rook is on a5, I am defending my rook through the queen, and after this trade, black does not have enough time to set up defensively. The best thing that he can do here, because even if the bishop moves, I double up and I hit both the rook and the bishop. He has to go rook e7, rook a1, b6, counterattack, rook a3, and basically we get to this position, rook c8, d5, something like bishop b8, only move to survive, and I play knight c4, I don't even take anything, and white is just pressuring in this endgame. It's much better for white, but it's not winning. Rook a5 and queen d2 didn't even begin to occur to me, right? Because like I looked at rook a2, rook a3, rook a4, I was like rook a5, queen b4, queen a1 doesn't work. Rook a5 and queen d2, that is really, really breathtaking. Like, just incredible. Like, I can sack a pawn and just wait, and he just can't do anything. It's really, really amazing. Rook a5, this move. Rook a5 is so strong in this position. It takes, look, the computer doesn't even realize how good it is at first. And as Stockfish gets higher and higher in the depth, it realizes rook a5 is the best move. And yeah, I can't even be mad about this. I played what I thought was a very logical move. Originally, I was going to go queen d3. My idea with queen d3 was I'm setting up rook a4 and queen a3. That was my original intention here. Queen d3. Now, I thought he has to take my pawn, and then I was going to play rook a3 and rook a1. I thought this was very strong. Now, I realized he doesn't have to take my pawn after queen d3. He can just play like here. And, position's probably just going to liquidate. I just don't have enough time anymore because he just moves the bishop. I ultimately settled for queen b1. I thought this was slightly more sophisticated. I got a miss because I missed rook a5. Now I get out of the pin, and also I prepare b5, and I don't actually lose my pawn. And now the game just peters out. It just becomes a draw because basically white has nothing better than to advance, and what's going to happen is both pawns will fall against both of these pawns, leaving us with a 3-on-3. And this is just a draw. He took on d4. We traded. We traded. We traded. We traded. He went rook d8. I played queen e4. And here's something funny happened. It was a very awkward moment. I played queen e4, and I said, I offer a draw. You have to play a move and offer a draw. And my opponent, the way you can either, you can respond and say, I'll think about it, but that's weird. You can just say like, okay, and if you make a move, that's your refusal of their draw offer. So here Liam took my queen, and I thought he offered me a draw, and I was like, what? I was so confused because I offered him a draw. Like I played queen e4, I offered a draw, and he went, like I was like, yo, what? Did he just refused my offer, but re-offered? It's like, and now I'm thinking like, did I mishear him? Is this dude trying to beat me in this position? This is how little respect he has for me. He wants to trade the queens. He thinks he's going to beat me in this totally symmetrical position. I was bewildered. And I just like looked up at him and I was like, did you offer a draw? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, I offered a draw. He's like, yeah, like I thought you did, but like bro, chess players, man, all of us, we're goofy. I was like, he wants to play this position? Like, what is going on? So this was this is chess. I mean, this is how it goes sometimes, sometimes you never kind of like get a game. This was a game for about 4 or 5 moves. Rook a5 would have been really legendary. That's like a fascinating geometrical concept that I like I said, I mean, I was vaguely coming up with this, but not with queen d2. Definitely not with queen d2. And to be honest with you, moves like rook a5 with queen d2, I think would appear in my head more if I was more confident. And I just, I'm not, I wasn't thinking at this point, like, Liam is screwing up. I was actually respecting how he was playing. I thought he was playing completely logically. So in my head, I was like, there's no way a chance is appearing here. But it did. A fascinating move, rook a5. That could, rook a5, queen d2 could be in a book easily. Fascinating position. Anyway, we have 3 out of 4. We are drawing strong players now. Liam is the highest rated player I've played in quite some time. In my slump, I have mostly played in the IM sections. But yeah, like you can draw a 2100 nowadays or a 2500. You know, like really, it's a wide range, and people are playing pretty well. So stay tuned for the last 3 rounds. So far, 3 out of 4, undefeated, undisputed. And I will see you in the next video. And shout out to everybody who made 7 million possible. Get out of here.